Started in the world of art. Really, I feel like I've had art in me my whole life. Ever since I've been really young, there's always been drawing when I was in school, in high school, but I never really went to school to learn art. It's kind of found its way to me. When I was young, my parents, they always encouraged me to do the things that I wanted to do, but being an artist was not something that, as a parent, you'd want your kids to do. So they'd want you maybe that you were really good at being art. Maybe they would try to tell me that I should go to school maybe to learn to teach art, because that was more of a stable career. It wasn't until I was probably like 22, 23 years old, and I was working in the printing industry, but I was always painting on the side, kind of like at home, just to kind of pass the time of day. And when my friends then would see my paintings, they were so surprised at my ability to paint. They would tell me that I needed to quit my job and that's what I should do. So it wasn't until really moving away from the people that loved me the most to hang out with just some friends, because your friends, they kind of let go of the risk. I'm not a risk to them, so they were the real strong encouragement of that this is what you need to be doing. And it got to the point where I needed more time to paint, so I would quit my day job, and I had to struggle within myself because I never went to work anymore. Even though work was home and being in the studio, but I enjoyed it so much. I really had a hard time not having a job. Growing up in Detroit, Michigan, everybody had a job. They worked for the auto industry. My mother worked for the banking industry. It was always, everybody had a 9 to 5, and that was the way life ran in Detroit. So I think that was probably the hardest part, separating myself away from that normal part of life of having that 9 to 5. The red Arvid signature, it started from the beginning when as a young artist, I was painting everything. I was doing landscape paintings, I was doing portraits, whatever I wanted to paint, that's what I would paint. And then recognizing that the most successful artists had focus in their body of work, I wanted to find focus, and I didn't have focus. So what I did is that I decided that this was going to be Arvid's red period. So I started painting Converse high-top tennis shoes, red, crushed Coke cans, red, radio flyer wagons, red, and when I got to the red wine. And so I was doing this series of paintings, everything had to be red. And every time I did a red wine painting, it would sell off my easels. And so I'd have to do another wine painting to go with my series, and it would sell. So I started looking into it. By the time I sold 4 or 5 paintings of the wine series, I started thinking, does anybody paint red wine? And I started looking into it, and this is like 18 years ago, almost 19 years ago. And the answer was no, nobody painted just a series of wine paintings. The awareness of the casual way to enjoy life. My paintings are these larger than life still lifes of the consumption of wine, but it's not what, as you would, when people try to, when I explain to people that I paint wine, they think of that formal still life of a bottle with grapes and cheese all clustered around the base of the bottle, and I take all that away from the painting. The way I paint the wine is the wine being consumed by friends. The bottles and the glasses are sitting on the table, and the corks are pulled out of the bottles, and the wine is just being drank. And there's kind of like a organized chaos that's kind of going on. And when you see that, you want to be part of it. And when you see that in the imagery, you want to reach in and touch the pieces that are in the painting. As I'm enjoying life and drinking wine with friends, and I could just be hanging out, and I'll look over and I'll see something, and I'll be, oh, that'd make a really great painting. So then it's up to me after the party's over and I'm by myself in my studio to try to recreate what I saw. I'm always looking for creating a composition of not being of a subject matter. when you think of the Thomas Arvid paints wine bottles, it's not a wine bottle like right smack in the middle of a painting that's perfectly centered from top to bottom, left to right. It is, I'm always trying to paint that space that's in between the bottles and the glasses, so that things are running off the canvas, top, side, bottom, so that when the viewer is looking at the painting, they're going from an edge of a glass to the bottom of a crate lid, over to the bottle, and maybe noticing the label and the details, and then maybe carrying them across the bottom of the painting because of the wood grains. All those elements frees the viewer to enjoy the painting. So I'm always trying to make every bit of the canvas interesting to look at, whether it's texture, color, composition, just to keep them interested. I'm Thomas Arvid, and I am an American realist painter that paints red wine.